Hello everybody, welcome back. I hope you're doing great. So we have another Saturday video and we have another review of a movie, and it's actually not an Asian movie either, so again something different from the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Carry On, which is a newish movie in Netflix. It came out on December 13 of 2024, so close to Christmas. This is like a Christmassy action movie. That's basically what this is. The movie, it is 2 hours long. Now I will say the first part can be kind of boring, and then it picks up in the second half of the movie. I'm saying it just right now because when you see it, it might happen. But for me, I think this is actually a really good movie. I do have questions about a few things, but it is a good movie. It's very entertaining. It has action and you know, it's because it is around Christmas time, it just makes everything more chaotic. It's kind of great. But this is what we're going to be talking. So as always, I'll give you guys a little bit of the story and then we will talk about what I think of the movie. This part might be a little bit longish because honestly things happen here. It's very quick pace of a movie, especially in the half part of the movie. It picks up a lot quicker and more things happen for sure. The movie starts with a guy which we later know as Traveler. That is the name that they give him, this guy. We never get to know his actual name, just Traveler throughout the whole movie. He's in this place where there's Russians working with plants. I don't know if these plants are drugs or something, but he's working with the Russians and he's looking for a package, and the guy is like, hey, the package in the car side here and that. The point is he ends up killing all the Russians there for some reason. I don't think they never fully explain why he killed them, or if they did, they did a bad part explaining because I don't remember. But he ends up killing all the Russians and taking the package out with him. It was a carry-on, hands down the name of the movie, Carry On. Then after the whole part, which is very short honestly, we meet Ethan and Nora. They both work in the LA airport. She is pregnant and she's trying to convince him to try again to be a police officer. He has already tried, but he's still scared of doing it because he failed, and she's not pushing him, but she's basically telling him like, hey, we have a child on the way. I feel like you could try again and we can both work it out, like it's gonna be totally fine. But again, he's still scared because he already failed. He doesn't want to fail again, and he's kind of in this point of, I'm just gonna do what I'm doing in the airport and done. He does work on the TSA. I think he's just looking out in the baggage part where they're checking the baggage. That's where he works. I'll say this, he does try to get a promotion from the boss, which his name is where Sarkosky? No, Sarkosky. I'll just put a photo of him, and whenever I mention him or something, I'll put the name because I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it again. But he's a supervisor, and Ethan does try to kind of get a promotion, but literally the supervisor is like, do you care about this job? And Ethan's staying quiet, and he's like, exactly, that's why I cannot give you a promotion. You're here because you're here and done. It's not like you really care for this job and you're actually trying to grow in this job. So the supervisor knows that he really doesn't care about the job. In his book, he doesn't deserve a promotion there. But still, because they're short staff, because it is December 24 and lots of things are happening, they do end up putting him in the baggage scanning lane because that kind of free people to be able to work in other areas. So they do put him to the test being in the baggage scanning lane, you know, so that's something at least. So while doing this job, there is a passenger that tells him that there's something in the tray that is not her. You should remember her face. She just gives him the tray, and there is this earbud. Is one of those communication things that you put in the ear and nobody sees, that kind of a thing. And that's when he starts talking to the Traveler. And the Traveler, I mean, okay, so this whole first part of the movie is just him talking to a Traveler and him just doing things that don't make sense, trying to do something, but the Traveler is like, you don't want to do that. You don't want Nora to get hurt. We know that she works there. We know that she's here. Nora is manager in one of the LA airport plane thing. She's a manager there. And Traveler is like, you don't want to do that. And he started mentioning things here and there of his life, like him trying to be a police officer, Nora, her family, his family, her family even. So stuff that he knows because he is being told by another person that works for him about his life. Essentially, there was supposed to be another person in that seat, but because they changed him, they had to change the whole plan and kind of get to know his life so they can, you know, control him. But either way, this whole first part is just Ethan doing things that don't make sense. At the end, which I feel like this is where the second half of the movie starts, and it picks up very quickly and there's a lot more action. Ethan calls Lionel. He is a security police officer in the airport, and he, at the beginning of the movie, he was telling them that there is fake tickets going around and that with a UV light you can kind of tell when it's fake or not. So they all had a UV light, and somehow he's able to write on the ticket with some kind of paint that only a UV light can see it. And he basically writes like drugs or something, basically telling Lionel that something is happening. And he sees it with the UV light, and he's walking to the supervisor, him, because I'm not trying to mention his name again. And while he's walking there, he bumps with this person and he falls and he has a heart attack and he dies. And this is the first time that we see the Traveler's face, and that is when Ethan sees his face for the first time, and he's like, oh, you're the one that is talking to me. Traveler used this poison called aconite, however it is. A lot of names will be put on the screen, but that, which basically made Lionel have a heart attack. So Traveler uses a lot of poisons and chemical, which is kind of explained later, I'm not entirely sure. So of course Traveler is angry. He's like, what the hell did you do? I told you you couldn't do this. They kind of talk in the bathroom a lot of times in the movie, and they do fight a bit and all of that. And Ethan is like, crap, because Traveler is like, now you're not in the baggage kind of lane, because they changed him, because again it was something kind of strong for Ethan to go through, seeing Lionel die after what he did. And they changed him. They put Jason now on the baggage kind of lane, and Traveler is like, you need to do something, because if that package go on and he flags it, Nora's gonna die, your family's gonna die, we know where they leave and all of that. So he ends up changing Jason's coffee with one that had alcohol, and of course the supervisor finds it. He basically lost the job, and Ethan is like, I'm sorry, and Jason is like I understood you wanted a promotion, but this is a very sick way of trying to get a promotion. And it is like, that is not wise. So of course that friendship is kind of ended there. So Ethan is put back in the baggage scanning lane, and that's when the package passes, and it is from a guy named Mateo. He has the package, which he's not working for the Traveler. They have his husband captured, and he's there with Watcher. Watcher is just a guy in the airport making sure that everything goes well and works for a Traveler. Here we go. But the husband is with him, and that's why Mateo is doing this whole thing to kind of save the husband. The other part of this whole movie, which I do wish that we have done something else with this, or make it a little bit more important, is this woman called Elena. Elena is from LAPD. She's a detective, and she's investigating this homicide, which is the one that we saw at the very beginning with the Russians, the Traveler killing all of them and the plants. And that's when we find about Novi Shock, that is in USA. Now, from the kind of little explanation that I gave, this is some family in Russia that they use chemicals to make weapons. That's all that I understood for the explanation that we're giving. And that this is very serious because these people are now in USA, and she ends up contacting the Department of Homeland Security because apparently this is very serious. That is like the first time that we see her. Again, I do wish that we have done a little bit more with this whole side story. Now we know kind of what or who the Traveler is working for. So at some point in the airport, they decide to do random checks, and Ethan decides to put Mateo's name on the list so they will have a chance to talk and see what exactly is going on. They do. Ethan does meet the Traveler again, and the Traveler just does give him a gun. It's a plastic gun. No, it's a made-up gun that is not gonna be, you know, detected by the machines and stuff when they are on TSA. Because of the whole thing, I don't remember what exactly, but Traveler does arm the bomb that is in the carrion. So now Ethan is trying to find Mateo. And of course Mateo is with the supervisor. That one. And they're checking. Ethan goes in. Mateo kills the supervisor right there in front of Ethan. They do end up disarming the bomb. The Traveler tells Ethan how to disarm it and all of that. So now they have an issue because the bomb is there still, but now they have to deal with the dead body. So they do take him where the baggage goes, checking baggage goes, and they're being separated, whatever. It's a room that they go essentially. So Mateo does know about the bomb. Again, they have his husband, so he kind of knows what was in the carrion. Mateo does die, by the way. They just get that out of the way. When they are trying to hide the body, the Traveler gives Mateo instructions to kill Ethan. And he does try to do it with the gun, but again the gun is different because it's made of plastic, but the more you use it, the hotter it gets, and it can explode in your hand. I think that's what it is. But Mateo uses it so much that of course that happens and kills him. So now Ethan is alone again. So he does end up giving the carrion to the Traveler, okay, the bomb and everything, and runs away. And the Traveler just takes it like, okay, and goes. They do try to end up killing Nora. She does end up having to run a bit and get into the parking lot and hide from the Watcher, which is the one that is trying to kill her. But Jesse, which is Mateo's husband, does end up killing the Watcher. That's the whole thing. That's like the first piece of action that we got in, or the second piece of action that we got in this whole movie, but that happens. Back to Elena again. So she is now going to the airport. They know something's happening in the airport. She's with John. Now John is not who it is. John is working with that people, the Russian people. So there is this big fight that is happening in the car while driving. We will talk about it in a second. But there's this whole fight that happens between them before she can even get to the airport. So when she gets there, they do tell her that, hey, he's going to Terminal 7. You need to shut it down. They do end up shutting it down because he is getting into a flight to New York, essentially. But we're kind of at the end-ish now of the movie. This is where most of the action is starting to happen. Apparently he was never going to New York. When they were talking, when Nora and Ethan were talking to Jesse, which is Mateo's husband, he was telling them, hey, he's not going to New York, he's going to DC. I kept hearing the Watcher talking about some DC flight in another terminal that is not Terminal 7. So now we know that the actual target for the bomb is a congresswoman that is in a flight to DC, and she advocates for increasing weapons funding. So the whole thing was to make it look like a Russian attack, so they would expand on defenses stuff, on weapons and all of that, manufacturers, all of that. So all of that would go up and they would get more money. So now the Traveler is actually walking to Terminal 8, and he even gets a parachute from the woman that we saw at the beginning. Told you should all just remember her face. Yeah, that woman is working with the Traveler. And he even gets into the airplane. He realizes the carrion doesn't fit where the carrion is. That's when he clocks that, oh, Ethan changed the suitcase, so it would have to go in the cargo part of the airplane. So he kind of knows something is happening because the suitcase was changed. Nora is telling all of this to Elena, like, hey, this is the actual airplane that he's going, blah blah blah, and she's like, we need to stop the airplane, and Nora's like, no, because he can arm the bomb anytime, so if you stop the flight, he will know something is wrong. You need to trust Ethan. He has disarmed the bomb before, so he can do it again. So somehow Ethan is able to get into the cargo area of the airplane. I don't remember how exactly, but he's able to get there, and he is disarming it. Of course, the Traveler kind of notices, so he gets into the cargo, and there's a little bit of fight, and you know, Traveler is kind of attacking him, but very mentally, in the sense of You think you can do this. You think this is gonna make you better. You think this is gonna help you be a police officer, but you suck. You're not good at this. You suck, my man. You cannot do this. That type of thing is what the Traveler is kind of working on. So not really physical fight, but more let's hurt him mentally and emotionally so he cannot do anything. In the end, either way, he's able to disarm the bomb, and when the Traveler goes to check it, he realizes there's a tube missing because the whole chemical is in like 2 tubes. And what Ethan ends up doing is throwing the tube in like a, how is it called? It's like a clear room that is like a refrigerator. I don't even know how to call it. It's a room that you can seal completely. He throws the tube there. He traps Traveler there. The tube, of course, breaks, so the Traveler dies essentially there. I didn't write how it's called. I literally wrote, it's a clear room that can be sealed completely. I should have done better with my notes, but that. So of course now everybody's safe, and then at the end we see Ethan, Nora, and the child passing to TSA. They're seeing everybody that works there now. They're flying to Tahiti, which is a little joke that they have had from the beginning of the movie. And we see him with Jason's family. So again, I'm guessing everything was resolved with the friendship. And we've seen that Ethan, before passing the scanner, he leaves his LAPD badge on the tray. So it means that he accomplished his dream of being an LAPD. And that is the whole movie. I will say, again, this is a good movie. It has action. The only frustrating thing is that the first half of the movie is just not too many things happening, okay? I feel like since we know who the Traveler is, from that point on, is that most of the action and most of like the issues and the interesting stuff starts to happen. The beginning is very frustrating because Ethan is doing stuff that just doesn't make sense, and you want to hit him. You want to be like, think well, you know, stop doing stupid shit. But you know, he's frustrated. He doesn't know what to do. It's his first time in that baggage case scanning thing, so he's probably very frustrated. Not as frustrated as I was seeing him doing all the stupid stuff, but yeah. I will say there's a few things that don't make sense. I didn't number them. I should have numbered them, but the fight scene between Elena and John is kind of weird. It just looks weird. Like they're fighting in the car, but the glass would break, but no glass was inside the car or on top of Elena or John, you know? So if a glass shatter, like breaks, the glass should be on top of them, at least in the car. That didn't happen. Also, the outside looked weird. It's like they used some kind of green screen or something to make it look like there were things around, and they used some kind of effect to make this, like, the glass break. I don't know, it looks a little bit weird. And also Ethan talking to himself, okay? Like the whole first part is him just talking to himself very loudly. So I don't know who, like if I see an employee do that, I'll go to my supervisor and be like, he's acting weird, he's talking to himself, you should go see. There's a part though that somebody is like, hey, are you okay? You're talking to yourself. He's like, yeah, I'm fine, you know? So it's fine, but then at the same time it's like, he's talking to himself a lot and very loudly. So I feel like, you know, people around could be like, are you okay, man? Or at least more people could be like that. That is something else that is like, he's talking too loudly. It was also very interesting for me that they revealed the Traveler very early in the movie. Usually with this kind of movies, we don't know the person until the very end-ish of the movie or something like that, but they show him sort of the beginning, which is why I think from the time that they showed him on is that the action picks up, because we kind of know. And even at the beginning of the movie, we the audience didn't know who the Traveler is because his face was covered and or his face wasn't shown completely. It wasn't until Lionel thing happened is that when we see the, even us at the audience, see the Traveler's face for the first time. So that was something cool, because again, usually those things happen at the end there. So the fact that they revealed the person at least half of the movie, it was actually pretty interesting. Also, it made Ethan even more frustrated because he's like, I know who you are, but I cannot do anything because you're gonna hurt the person that I love, you know? Other than the weird stuff and all of that, it is a good movie. I would recommend it. Again, I was able to watch it at work, so It is good. The acting is good. Everybody did an amazing job. This is technically a Christmas movie. It's just an action. Usually when you see Christmas movies, kind of like the funny comedy ones. This one isn't. This one is action. So again, it's something different. I think it did pretty well on Netflix in my opinion. So it's really good. It's what can happen on the airport on December 24. It is different. Again, it's not your typical Christmas comedy movie. It's an action one, so it's a little bit different, and I did really like that. So if anybody has seen this, let me know what you thought of the movie. What was your favorite part? Do you have any question about the movie? I don't know, let me know what you thought of it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're doing great, and I'm gonna see y'all on the next one. Bye.